Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for Tuesday, October 14, 2025. And in the news this afternoon, impact spatter at the Maitland's apartment, says a forensic analyst. A forensic analyst told a 7-member jury in the murder trial of Constable Noel Maitland in the Home Circuit Court, downtown Kingston on Monday, that she formed the opinion there was an impact spatter event inside the policeman's apartment based on the pattern of blood distribution on certain items. The analyst had previously testified that the samples taken from curtains, a cushion cover, and a shoe tested positive for blood. Maitland is on trial for murder and preventing the lawful burial of a corpse in relation to the July 12, 2022 disappearance of his 24-year-old social media influencer girlfriend, Donna Lee Donaldson. Donaldson was last seen alive at the Chelsea Manor apartment complex in St. Andrew, where Maitland lived. She was reported missing on July 13, 2022. Prosecutors are banking on circumstantial evidence to secure a conviction in the case. On Monday, Director of Public Prosecutions, Claudette Thompson, asked the forensic analyst to explain what she meant by impact splatter event. This means that they could have been created by something with blood touching the surface, or something coming in contact with blood on the surface, or the folds of the drapes rubbing on each other. The small clots could have been formed depending on how the portion of blood having clotting factors was allowed to dry on the surface, the analyst said. Maitland was seen in dock listening intently as he jotted notes on a piece of paper. Thompson then asked the witness to explain what she knew about how human blood reacted to certain cleaning agents. When blood leaves the human body and is exposed, its color gets darker with time. The process of degradation, the components of it being broken down, begins. When blood comes in contact with water, it would be diluted. Water would make it more degraded, especially if there is a lot of water, the analyst explained. She added that vinegar, which is a weak acid, would cause a degradation if it came in contact with the blood, which consists of several proteins. She said too that if the greaser of a liquid form came in contact with the blood, it would dilute the blood. As for bleach, she said it also enhances the breaking down of blood and its components. Coming into contact with blood, bleach would impact it dependent on the amount of bleach. Soap, which is also a cleaning agent, would also affect the degradation depending on the type of soap and the quantity of soap and the quantity or volume of blood. Different soaps have different chemical makeup, she said. Attorney at law Chadwick Berry, who is one of 5 attorneys representing Maitland, began his cross-examination of the forensic analyst on Monday. He asked the witness if Maitland's BMW motor vehicle had been swabbed and tested for blood. She confirmed that it was swabbed and tested. She told the court that no blood was detected. Berry probed to ascertain how many items inside the apartment were swabbed and tested for blood. The witness said that more than 100 items were tested. Except for the drapes, the cushion cover, and the shoe, she said that the other items had tested negative for blood. The trial continues today. Crown outlines alleged $25 million corruption case against the Reeds, Pinnock, and Brown Lawrence. A domestic helper unknowingly employed by the Ministry of Education is among the key allegations in the $25 million fraud case involving former Education Minister Roel Reed and the former Caribbean Maritime University President, Professor Fritz Pinnock. The prosecution outlined its case in the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court on Thursday, describing a complex alleged conspiracy to siphon public funds through fraudulent contracts, sham employment, and bogus invoices between 2016 and 2019. Lead prosecutor Ashtel Steele told the court that the helper, hired to work in the Reed household, had no idea she was on the ministry's payroll. The prosecution alleges that Reed, his wife Sharon, and daughter Sharelle arranged for her to be paid through the ministry. The family reportedly helped her open a bank account and retained the control of her ATM card to access the funds. Steele said the Crown intends to present evidence that this was part of a broader scheme through which Reed, his family, Pinnock, and the Jamaica Labour Party councillor Kim Brown Lawrence conspired with others to defraud the Ministry of Education and the CMU. The Crown will seek to show how the accused, particularly Mr. Reed and Pinnock, used their roles as public servants to mastermind and effect the fraudulent activities for which they are before the court, she said. The Crown will seek to lead the following to include, but not limited to the following: the position of all of these persons and their roles, individuals being paid regularly by CMU, with these individuals not knowing that they were paid by the CMU, invoices or vouchers of goods and services being generated under circumstances where individuals being paid did not generate same, and that they did not at any time provide these goods and services, she added. Furthermore, no verification checks were carried out before funds were disbursed, the court heard. The prosecution plans to call 92 witnesses during the trial, which begins on Thursday. Key evidence includes banking records, text messages, and a testimony tracing the flow of funds into accounts controlled by the accused. In one case, payments were made through CMU to individuals who performed no work. Similarly, Pinnock, as CMU president, is accused of authorizing and facilitating the creation of fraudulent vouchers that enabled the unlawful transfer of funds. Brown Lawrence is accused of working with Reed and Pinnock to facilitate the CMU payments, allegedly receiving money she knew or should have known was fraudulently obtained. The Crown also intends to argue that, under the Proceeds of Crime Act, the accused not only received and transferred the criminal property, but took deliberate steps to keep control of the funds, sometimes by channeling them through third parties or receiving cash directly. All 5 accused face conspiracy to defraud charges. Reed and Pinnock are also charged with acts of corruption. Reed, his wife, daughter, and Brown Lawrence are charged with acquiring and handling criminal property. They are also accused of participating in arrangements to retain those assets. The allegations were presented after Senior Parish Judge Sancho Burrell granted the indictment, rejecting objections from Pinnock's attorney Hugh Wildman. Wildman argued that statements used to support the case were unlawfully obtained and they should not form the basis of the indictment. The judge also denied a request from the defense for more time to review documents despite the complaints of later disclosure of voluminous material. 3 men shot, 1 fatally in St. Anne. 3 men were shot, 1 fatally by a gunman in Oteria, St. Anne on Sunday. The dead man has been identified as 29-year-old Jamie O'Brien Brown, also called Jamie, a glass cutter of Compound District in Exchange. It is reported that about 6 p.m., Brown and the other victims were at a bar having drinks and smoking when they were approached by a lone gunman who opened fire on them. When the shootings subsided, it was discovered that the men sustained multiple bullet wounds. They were transported to hospital where Brown was pronounced dead. The other men were admitted. 2 convicted for poker breaches. 2 men who were nabbed attempting to leave the island with larger sums of US dollars were convicted before the St. James Parish Court last week. The men pleaded guilty to breaches of the Proceeds of Crime Act following an investigation by the Jamaica Customs Agency and the Financial Investigations Division. Investigators reported that one passenger who was en route to Curacao declared US $64,408 to customs officers and stated that the funds were received from a Montego Bay-based wholesale for goods supplied by his warehouse. 2 days later, another traveler heading in the same destination, accompanied by a minor, declared $50,000, similarly declaring it had been collected from the same Montego Bay-based establishment in relation to goods supplied to them from the Curacao-based company. Both men were referred to the FID, charged under Section 101A of POCA, and brought before the court on Tuesday. They each pleaded guilty and were fined $200,000. Castle Dunkley, Director of Investigation at Jamaica Customs, said the incidents underscore the agency's vigilance in protecting Jamaica's financial system from abuse and serve as a reminder to travelers and business operators of their legal obligations and to use the formal banking system.
I want to use this medium to remind importers, buyers, all business people within the island of Jamaica that transacting cash businesses in excess of $1 million or more or its equivalent is a breach of the Proceeds of Crime Act, Section 101A. Persons fail to comply will face the judiciary because it is a breach. So we are taking this time out on behalf of Jamaica Customs Agency to notify or to remind our business community.
Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.